Okay. Let me admit Juan Pablo. Abril. Okay. Do you know how to use this device, guys?
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Right now, everybody, please open your microphone so we can test that your microphone is okay. Unmute yourselves, please.
Teacher,
Yes. Okay. Sí, Carolina Lecar. I have 16 people right now in the class. I'm missing 4. Okay. Rodrigo. Hi, Rodrigo. Well, okay. So right now, everybody has their microphone on, so we can test that we can use correctly our microphone. Later on, further the class goes on, I am going to mute you guys, okay? I am going to control your microphones.
Teacher, está muy trabada, teacher.
Well, it's the internet probably. Okay? Students, it's very important that I see your names in the screen, your name and your last name. You see my arrow here, the mouse, can you see the mouse? Where you have these 3, I am choosing right now Juan Pablo. Juan Pablo, no? Okay, where you see this little 3 dots, you press there and then you're going to write where it says rename. There you are going to write your name and your last name, as Fatima did, Juan did, Axel, Ines, and so on, okay? So I can see the names in the screen. Emi, can you write Emiliano and your last name, please? Okay, we're using names. iPhone, well, Rodrigo is Rodrigo, okay. Well, if you want to participate, if you have a question or a doubt, what are you going to do? You are going to go.
Raise your hands.
You're going to raise your hand, your virtual hand, okay? You have over here in the lower part of the screen where it says participants. Let me see. Either it's your internet or my internet, okay? Renata. Where it says manage participants, where it says chat. I can't open it. Where we have managed, you are going to press where it says more, and you can raise your hand over there. You will see a hand. In this case,
seleccionate a ti misma, te pones los 3 puntitos ahí.
Can you raise your hand to see if you can, if you found the virtual hand, please? Raise your hand. Very good, Marianne. Ines, Diana. Okay. Okay, that way I will know that you want to participate or that you have a question of the topic that we're seeing, of the class. Okay, everything is fine and safe at home? Is everything okay?
Yes.
Okay. Those of you that have your cameras off, you need to open your cameras, please, at all times. I have to have your, so I would know that you.
Que mi cámara no sirve. Here.
Eduardo, your camera doesn't work? Okay.
Está bueno la compu.
Okay. You have your notebook and your pencil with you? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I am going to unmute all of you. And then I'm going to mute all of you, okay? Oh, I can't. Okay, now you're all muted. Abril, what's wrong? Oh, okay, excellent. You just woke up. Okay, let's start our class, right? You look so beautiful, all of you guys here in class. Very good. Okay, I'm going to start sharing screen. I am going to leave one microphone on. I'm going to see the first person that I have here, which I'm going to have it unmute, it's Mariana Alvarez. Mariana, whenever I am not sharing the screen, you tell me, okay? If you cannot see the screen, you tell me. Right now, I'm going to start. Okay, Mariana? Mariana? Okay. I am going to start sharing the objective of today. Okay. The objective that you're going to start copying in your notebook or in your white paper, sheet of paper, is the following. We are going to analyze ancient Mexico and the beginning of the colonial period in our country. That is the objective of our class.
Ancient what?
Are you seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, the objective is there in your screen. Fatima, you have a question? No? For those of you that do not have any question, you may lower your hand, please. Thank you. Okay, so the objective is that one, right? In your screen, let's see, I have here people with questions. Emiliano, you have a question? Emiliano, you have a question? Okay, no. Okay, in your screen, you have here a timeline that I copied from the book. You're going to find the exact timeline in your key, right? This is showing us the 2 of the 3 periods that existed in the antique Mexico. Mexico, as we have already mentioned, is very rich in history, in culture, and Mexico has 3 periods. The first one is Mexico Antiguo or Antique Mexico, and the second that is mentioned in this key is the Colonial Period. The first one is divided, as you see in that timeline, it's of Mesoamerica, and the second one is of New Spain. Well, for the first period, it took for more than 4,000 years. It was habited by Mesoamerican tribes, this period. It finished with the arrival of Spanish people. The second one lasted for 300 years and where Mexico was under the domain of Spain. How did this begin? How did the colonial period begin? Well, we have, here is the information, Ancient Mexico, lasted for, it's the information that I just mentioned before. This period of the colonial period started with Christopher Columbus trips. He made 4 trips before he died. They started in 1492 and they ended at 1504. Why? My question was, why did Christopher Columbus felt the need or the urge to travel around exploring new places? Did you hear before? I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Did you heard before? Did you heard before about the spice and silk road? Did you hear before with Mr. Daniel Ballesteros in first grade? The spice and silk road? Well, back then, in that century, silk was wanted by many people in Europe, as well as spices. Spices were used in many ways, like for food or for other uses. Well, suddenly they found out that spices and silk had a great demand. So China and other places, as they were Europe, Africa, and Asia, had the domains of silk and spices. Well, Spain wanted to enter to this economy activity, but they had to find new ways where to travel around the world to find silk and precisely spices. So here is where the trips of Cristobal Colon began, or Christopher Columbus began. Okay, suddenly he said, you know something, I want to prove that, that we have a large continent. So I am going to start a new trip, but not taking the ones, like the places that have already been traveled by other people. I am going to change my route and go through another place in the ocean. Well, here is how Christopher Columbus said, I am going to go to India. So he had to go and explore new places around the ocean. And this is how Cristobal Colon landed first in the Bahamas island, thinking that he made it to India. So he started going from the Bahamas to Latin America, to other places in Latin America, until he arrived to our land. Well, Christopher Columbus died before knowing that he was not in the India, that he was actually in the Americas. The Spanish people started being here in Mexico with the sailors that traveled with Christopher Columbus. Those were the first Spanish people that lived in our country, the ones that traveled with Christopher Columbus. One of the people that stayed and remained in our country was Jerónimo Aguilar and Gonzalo Guerrero. They stayed and remained in the Caribbean island. Christopher Columbus left. Okay, what was the objective of Christopher Columbus then? The objective was to find a new place where silk was made, find gold, and find spices, because the Spanish crown told Christopher Columbus that whatever he found, he would remain with the 10% of it. Okay? So he wanted the power of the money, and he wanted to be famous because of everything that he brought from new lands. Well, he did find gold, but instead of taking or bringing back to Spain silk and spices, he took among with him in the boat native people of Latin America. Okay, he took them as slaves. And one of the letters that he wrote was the following. He wrote to the crown of Spain and said, you know something, the people that lives here live naked. And they're very easy to convince and to make them do whatever I want. And they're wearing some gold. So I'm going to bring back to Spain this people, which they seem kind of ignorant because they have never seen iron before. Their swords are made of another material because when they touched mine, they took it by the edge of the sword and cut their hand. So I'm going to bring them, I'm going to return to this land, and I'm going to bring more slaves. So the Spaniards said, okay, we need slaves for a country, and bring as much as gold as you can. And you're going to remain with that 10% of the gold that you find. So Christopher Columbus did not find spices nor silk, because we know that that is made, well, he did find like some products, but not the spices that they were looking for. Silk is made in Asia. And they couldn't, Spain couldn't go to Asia because it was already taken those roads by the Turkish and by the Portuguese. So they had to go through another route, and they had accidentally found the Americas. Christopher Columbus found the Americas. So the objective then was that one that I just mentioned. So Jerónimo Aguilar and Gonzalo Guerrero remained in the Caribbean, and they started the first Spanish community in America's land, right? In Latin America land. And they lived among native people, and they learned their language. They learned how to communicate. They said too that the natives were very like smart to learn foreign languages. So they started communicating among themselves. Here is where we're going to find, they lived among the Mayans. Here is where the Malinche it was too. But later on, we're going to talk about the Malinche. Let's see, is there a message here? No. Okay. Is everything being clear till now? Students, just say yes or raise your hand if you have a question. Troya? Okay. Very good. Now, that was Christopher Columbus. I am going to share the screen again. That was Christopher Columbus. But one of the homeworks or the participations that we made before we went on spring break is like you had to see the differences between Hernán Cortés and the trips of Hernán Cortés and Christopher Columbus, okay? Right now, I already explained what was the objective of Christopher Columbus. Let's see what was Hernán Cortés. These are the routes that Christopher Columbus took. Here is Spain. He wanted to go to the India, which was further. So he made a wrong calculation and he finished in this part, right? In the Bahamas. Now, guys, let's see about Hernán Cortés. Well, Hernán Cortés, I see Christopher Columbus as a pirate, somebody that goes to different places, new lands, and takes as much money and gold as he can. And I see Hernán Cortés as a person that wanted to conquer new lands. That is one of the differences that I see between these two personalities. Hernán Cortés, from 1519 to 1521, made an alliance with some indigenous groups. They already knew, because of the discoveries of Cortés, that there was a land there, right? So he made an alliance with the Mexicas to dominate the Aztecs. Remember that the Aztecs was the strong tribe in this region. So he made an alliance with the Mexicas to dominate the Aztecs in Tenochtitlan. In 1521, after dominating the Mexicas, Cortés began to conquest around the country. Okay, so here we have a picture of the trip that Hernán Cortés made, right? Well, Cortés with Jerónimo Aguilar and the Malinche. La Malinche was a woman that spoke many tongues as the Mayan and Nahuatl. Conquested, made like kind of a strategy to conquest this tribe, right? So the first village that was found back then was known as Villarrica de la Veracruz. Nowadays is known as Veracruz. Veracruz or Villarrica de la Veracruz would be the first Spanish colony made in Mexico. Okay? I am going to stop sharing. Am I sharing the map? Maria?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. So, the objective of Hernán Cortés was to discover a new route where to find silk and spices, but he didn't. He did find a new continent, right? There, he brought natives from Latin America and took them as slaves to Spain. Some of his people stayed and remained living there, founding the new Spanish colonies. He brought with him gold and treasure. Much of this gold was lost during his trips. He made 4 trips to our country, to our continent, 4 trips. He was like an explorer of New World. He wanted the power, recognition, and money. That is what moved him. Hernán Cortés, he was brought up as a military. He knew how to fight, and he had thirst for power, right? He was the first, he was a person that wanted to be named as an emperor in our country, and he was an emperor of New Spain. He did dominate the Aztecs, and he stole much of the gold that they had. But one of his purposes was to bring the religion into our land.
Teacher, we
Yes.
don't understand.
Which one?
We don't like the internet is slow.
The what?
The internet is slow.
Oh,
Y era trabada.
okay. Funny. Hey, lad. Students, I just want you to know that the conversations are being recorded and they're going to upload to the page of the channel. So let's be careful, okay? Remember that we have to be very respectful in everything what we do and write, because this
Teacher,
goes
no,
to the page.
entiendo.
Okay. Okay, let's have, would you like to, I am going to open your microphones. Open your microphones, please. Open your microphones. Okay, let's start. Which part you didn't understand, guys? The internet, probably it's not that good, but either it's your internet or my internet. Questions, please? What are the differences between Hernán Cortés and Cristóbal Colón? Raise your hand so I can select you and I can write here that you participated today. Yes, Inés? Melanie? Who wants to tell me? I am listening to a phone there. Thank you, Pati. Or Lucas. Okay, let's see. Who knows the difference between Cristóbal Colón and Hernán Cortés? What was the objective of each?
Can I speak, teacher? Was that question?
No.
Who is it? Jose Antonio.
Jose Antonio.
Okay,
Yes.
Antonio, tell me.
Cristobal Colon was sort of a pirate and was looking for riches and spices, and Hernán Cortés was looking to dominate Mexico and all the Mexicas and basically.
To expand, right? Spain into another place, right? To conquest a land. Christopher Columbus did not want to conquest the land. He wanted to bring and to prove his theory that the continent was big. So he went through the Pacific Ocean, right? Okay, who else? Very good, Jose Antonio. What are the two periods that I mentioned? What are the two periods that I mentioned?
Me.
Okay, Diana Cordova, you raise your virtual hand. Thank you very much. Diana.
México Antiguo and Colonial Period, and one is divided in Mesoamerica and Nueva España.
Excellent, beautiful lady. Very good. I missed that. Very good. Dianita, congratulations. Okay. What was the period? How many years? How many years that antique Mexico lasted for?
How many years it what?
The Mexico antique lasted for. Who has the information? Who remembers?
Me.
4,000
Mariana
years.
Alvarez, you raise your virtual hand.
4,000 years.
Congratulations.
I said it first.
Mariana?
I raised my hand. 4,000 years.
4,000 years. Very good. And about the colonial period, how long did it last? It starts with, oh my God. 300 years. 300 years, okay? It was for 300 years. Then we saw the differences between Cortés and Christopher Columbus, what Jose Antonio said. Now, are there any questions? Lucas, what was the objective of today?
What?
The objective of the class.
I didn't understand.
I know.
You didn't write the objective of the class?
Teacher, accent.
What?
Juan Pablo?
Está trabado, teacher.
To analyze ancient Mexico at the beginning of the colonial period.
Okay, the objective of the class, can you repeat again, Juan Pablo, please?
Analyze Mexico at the beginning of the colonial period in our
At the
country.
beginning of the colonial period.
Very good. Very good. Now I have time to, I am going to take your attendance, okay? Marianne?
Here.
Emiliano Barrera.
Here.
Axel. Alan
Present.
Adrián.
Okay.
Here.
Diana, Juan Pablo, Abril,
Here.
Patricia, Patricia,
Present.
Fátima,
Present.
Carolina Ledgard,
Here.
Rodrigo,
Here.
Emilio,
Here.
Eduardo,
Present.
Hey,
Melanie,
señorita.
Present.
Lucas, Renata, Renatita. Renata is not here.
Ya lo dije, niño.
Renata,
Eh,
Ana Valeria,
Here.
Inés,
Here.
José Antonio,
Here.
Obed.
Here.
Yeah.
Anna, you have a question?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna lower your hand. Emiliano, you have a question?
Hey, Melanie, ¿cómo será hacer un reglamento?
¿Qué?
Un reglamento.
Un reglamento digital.
Pero para ayer.
Para hoy.
El español era para ayer.
Era para hoy.
Era tarea.
Se cerró la actividad a las 8.
Era para ayer porque ya no la podemos mandar hoy.
Okay, okay.
¿Cuál
Okay,
tarea?
okay, guys.
Lo del reglamento.
Talking about homework.
Pues ni entré a la clase.
Tarea.
Ajá.
Pero la dijo al final.
Pues no lo vamos a estar esperando todo el día.
Okay, talking about homework. Talking about homework, your homework is precisely the notes that you just took. The notes that you just took is your homework. Sorry, it's your participation. The notes that you just took is your participation, right? You're going to have 2 notes, not 3, 2 notes per week. That means that we have 2 classes, 2 sessions. You have to take your notes and you're going to send them on Friday. That is the participation, okay? Your homework. I am going to share the screen. Wait. Your homework is that you're going to enter to the key and you are going to answer. This week, you're going to answer the three exercises that you're going to see of each lesson. I believe that one of them has two exercises. You are going to answer them, and then you are going to take a screenshot of the activities that you made. This is the book. Okay, you are going to take a screenshot of the answers that you had of these exercises, right? You're going to take a screenshot and send them to me. There are 3 lessons, so probably they're gonna be 3 or 4 exercises that you will have a screenshot and send them to me, okay? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Yes,
Teacher, for when is that?
both of them are for Friday, right? The screenshots, Melanie,
What?
are for Friday, this Friday. All of my homeworks are for Friday. You're going to have only one homework per week. And you are, one moment, that's it. And you are going to take the screenshots of your 2 classes and send them on Friday. Yes, Axel.
Teacher, what key?
Okay. Teacher,
Which
is all the
key? Oh,
or only one lesson?
Could you repeat, please? Axel?
Is it all the key or only one lesson?
The key has 3 lessons.
It has 4.
Right now we studied the first lesson. On Thursday, I believe we have our next class. It's Thursday. We're going to see the other lesson, but you are going to answer the 3 lessons, right? You're answering the 3 lessons, the exercises of the 3 lessons. Send the results by a screenshot to me, as well as your 2 notes. Okay? Is there another?
sure, yo lo tengo hecho.
And is it for today?
No, it's for Friday. Melanie, you have a question?
What key?
It's key 1. Antonio?
There's only one activity or there's 2? One for 2?
For the first lesson, I believe there's only 1 activity, but I think that for the second lesson, there are 2 activities.
Okay.
¿Y cuántos lessons hacen?
Okay. Well, guys, this is all for today. We're going to connect again in our next class. Thank you very much. It was nice seeing you. That everybody is well. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh no, teacher, no.
Go to your next class.